Hi, welcome to our webinar, The Necessary Vocabulary and Features in World Geography. Your instructor, my name is Paul. I'm the Social Studies instructor here at Penn Foster. My email is up there, so if you have any questions about any of the material in our webinar or in any of the other Social Studies courses, feel free to send me an email. I'm also on the community, so if you want to friend me, that would be helpful as well. Plus, soon there will be new pages devoted to helping you with the 3 social studies courses, and you can check and watch for those on your message center and in the community. So, first of all, it is important to consider why we are learning world geography. Here are my thoughts on that. First, you'll be able to understand people and places in better ways, build multiculturalism and diversity. We kind of get a better understanding of what people are like and why people are act the way they do or do the things they do. All right, and now I just want to kind of get your thoughts on that. You can go to this page, and it brings up this wall that you can click and be able to write in your name and just write why you think we should be learning world geography. Why do you think it's important? You can just take a minute or so to kind of think about that. Just kind of write down what you think, and then we can sort of see, again, what you guys are thinking and how that kind of can relate to as we move on into the webinar and in future webinars about world geography. And we can actually come back to this later on in the presentation. So here are, I also want to kind of think specifically about this webinar and what I want you guys to be able to take away from it. The concepts themselves may be strange, considering physical and human geography, latitude and longitude. Those might be strange and might be concepts you haven't heard much about, but hopefully that won't be the case when we're all done. So there are 2 types of geography that are studied and researched. Throughout the rest of the lessons, each area of the world will be explored in physical and human geography. Now, I make reference to the spatial view on this slide, which means where people are and what they are doing there. So think about how people around just the United States behave during, before, and after things like snowstorms. They can vary greatly. People in this area of the Northeast, we're fairly familiar with snow. We know how to drive in it. We know how to react to it. Folks down south, when they just had a couple of inches of snow, had a little rough time with it. So the geography can really causes people to react in different ways based on their geography, based on what they're used to. Geographers can see how the physical geography and the human geography can really affect the human experience. So looking at the physical geography, that natural development, and human geography, the study of and that distribution of people and their activities. This next slide is an example of a world map, similar to the one on page 1 in the textbook. Maps are the most common ways geographers can present their research and information. They represent information about a certain area of the world. The maps at the beginning of each chapter are relevant and are related to look at because they are able to define what it is that's going to be explored in that chapter. So for instance, you'll notice that this map shows both physical features and boundaries of countries. So it shows both physical and human geography, which is what Chapter 1 combines both kinds of those geography. The power of maps is the kind of information that geographers are able to display. The first piece of information that you can see is the scale of the area of the map. As the images here and on page 3 in your textbook shows, you can see how the information about an area can change based on the scale of the map. Another element of the map is establishing the absolute location of places. They are sets of coordinates made from the imaginary lines of longitude and latitude. Much like using graph paper, you can set the measurements based on these lines. Now, as a student, I could never remember which lines were latitude and which ones are longitude. And I'll try to go over that with you so you can understand it. So the lines of latitude are the lines that go around the Earth. They measure how far north and south a location is from the equator. The equator is set at 0 degrees latitude, and the two poles are set at 90 degrees north and south latitude. And those are the highest degrees that come with latitude. Now, one of the helpful ways that I've learned and taught latitude is by thinking about it in terms of this, that latitude makes more of a flat line, so it becomes latitude, flatitude on a globe. Lines of longitude measure how far east and west a location is from the prime meridian. All the lines of longitude connect the north and south poles. 0 degrees longitude has a name just like 0 degree latitude, and that's called the prime meridian. Meridians are the sets of locations with the same degrees of longitude. The prime meridian was set up at the same longitudinal line as Greenwich, England. But the lines were actually set up because of the Canary Islands off the west coast of Africa. The meridians connect locations across the world with very different climates, unlike the lines of latitude, which pretty much all have the same general climate. Consider the difference between a city like Kingston, Jamaica in the Caribbean and that of Baltimore, Maryland. They both have the same meridian, but very different climates. A good way to remember the longitude is by thinking about the long, that it can almost look like the long part of the globe because the lines look longer going up and down. So something to consider. When have you needed to know the specific location of a place? This is how that finding the degrees of longitude and latitude can really help you in your life. And this is going to be another discussion, or another discussion wall, that you guys can click to and be able to take a look at, and be able to write about when you've had to look up a place. Typically that's going to be times when you are looking at maps, looking for directions, things like that. Being able to calculate degrees of latitude and longitude is only one way to explain the location of a place. For instance, if I asked how far away Chicago is from Los Angeles, you could give me the latitude and longitude degrees of each city, but that does not give a clear picture of the comparison of those locations. Relative location is one way to explain the distance. It can measure the direction and distance between locations. Another comparison can be done by exploring the friction of distance between locations. So let's go back to the cities of Chicago and Los Angeles. The relative distance is about 2,000 miles. The friction of distance is based on the time and cost to go from those locations. The friction of distance has changed dramatically in the last centuries. Changes in technologies have made the 2,000 miles from Chicago to Los Angeles go from days of travel to only hours. And as change has occurred, so has the price. Geography does have the power to bring together and separate areas of the world. A region on Earth does not necessarily have to be in the same area. Regions are the areas with physical and human characteristics. They are the same. That are the same. Localization creates identities for people within the region. People at the local level are working to build local traditions and connections. These are activities that have been a reaction to globalization, which has strived to build connections between people and countries in a variety of areas. It has affected nations' economies by bringing more competition for lower prices, but has also caused the loss of jobs in some areas. Globalization has also allowed for ideas to spread like cultures, including politics, religion, and other societal beliefs. Technology has also been affected by globalization because technology can be sent around the world, and that technology allows the globalized spreading of most everything. The natural environments have been affected by how people are able to move from place to place easily, and also diseases of areas can be spread throughout the world. Now, we've gone through a lot of concepts today, and there will be even more in world geography as you go through webinars and go through the lessons. I have on this slide a link to the community. It's not available yet, but we will be making it available when the new study group pages are up for world geography. After you use it, please post a reply on the community to tell how you liked it. Do we have any questions? Okay. Oh, I'm sorry. Okay, so we're looking for this link. I'll have it. I'll post it up onto the Penn Foster community for you guys. Okay. Clicking on the questions, but I'm not sure. Okay, does time play a role in distances? It certainly can. Distance is certainly mostly a spread, how far a place is from A to B. But in terms of time, you're going to be more, what's the word I'm looking for? The time's certainly a part of how far a place is, that you're going to consider time when considering the distance. Oh, in the map. Okay, so generally what that's, if I'm understanding the question correctly, that when you're looking at maps, the timing factors and the friction of distance is something that's hard to show, but you can certainly see, particularly on certain kinds of maps, that you can see why or how something is going to be difficult to get to, or the travel will be difficult either by car or walking or flying. Some locations are harder to get to that you can actually see as you're traveling. So one thing. Okay. Um, so this question, is there any way to get some notes? I can certainly send out some information. If you want to send an email, I can send you some of the information I was using, or some of the outlines I was using. That is certainly something that I can help you out with. What's the latitude and longitude? So the latitude is going to be the horizontal lines, and the vertical lines, the lines going from the poles, those were the longitude lines. The reason for the prime meridian was partially because it was quite a ways back, and I'm trying to remember the years or the time frame that it was actually made, or the degrees of longitude were created. But let me see if I can remember what that was, or if I have that written down anywhere. Sharon, I'll have to get back to you on that one. Unfortunately, I'm drawing a blank as to why that was. So how do you find the distance? By just looking at the maps. The big thing that you can do is when you're looking at the map scale. If we go back to the PowerPoint slide. Let's see here. So back to this point, when you're looking at maps, you're looking at them from the larger or smaller scale. One of the things that a map will show you is what's called a legend. And that legend is going to say, one of the things that I'll mention is the distance, that for every inch on a map, it's going to be, for instance, 100 miles or 1,000 miles. And that's part of the way that scale comes back, that if you are looking at, for instance, the lower map with the larger scale, the amount of miles that are covered in an inch is going to be much larger than the one that is the higher map, which is the smaller scale. So you're able to measure how far away a certain locations are based partially on looking at that scale on each map. And maps are going to have different scales based on the purpose of the map, based on what the geographer is trying to show with the map. How are we doing on questions? Where did the questions go again? Wasn't the poll. Oh, Right below. Oh, chat. Okay. Oh. The control. Oh. Mm-hmm. I'm sorry. Where am I looking? Okay. Looking through the questions. Okay. The equator. So we go back to this line of latitude. It's going to be basically the at the center, or not the center, but at the middle of the globe. So it's towards the northern. So looking at this map, if I were to try to enlarge it anymore, it's going to be right along here. Is sort of this straight line, the imaginary line of the equator is running right about here. And the prime meridian is running right about here, right along here. And it's connecting the North Pole to the South Pole. And all the degrees of longitude coming this way are going to be the longitude degree west. And over on this side is the east line of longitude. Okay.
She was sort of asking what states, so it's really not in the United States. The equator sort of runs through.
Yeah, the equator doesn't get as far north as where the Americas are, or well, North America, I should say. It's right at the north end of South America, through Africa, and then through the islands here. Let's see. I'm clicking on the question marks next to the names, but I'm not getting anything.
Okay.
I can.
Can you hear me, Paul?
I can.
All right, great. So Sharon asked, Sharon just making a comment that she likes legends, put a ha-ha and a funny face.
Ah.
Thanks, Sharon.
Thank you, Sharon.
Thank you, Sharon. Pamela has an interesting question. If there were climate changes, will that affect the distances?
Oh, that's an interesting question. Generally, I don't believe so. I think they might affect the friction of distance. That it might be harder to get to locations, or easier to get to locations. And going back to some of the last concepts, the regional geography might be affected. That you're going to be seeing different locations looking more and more similar or looking more different based on that climate change. So, for instance, right now we have a lot of similarities here in North America to areas in Europe. But depending on what climate change does, if it's, as some folks in the science, climate science are predicting, that if the ocean rises, there's going to be probably significant change to Europe's climate, to North American on the coast climates. So regional geography will probably be affected. Friction of distance might very well be affected. But those, in terms of how far away places are, the climate change won't necessarily affect that. In the next geography webinar, when we're talking about physical geography, we will look into what kind of drives the effects of physical geography, and see what may happen, what's going to happen as we continue time on this earth.
Thanks, and I just sort of I turned my microphone off. I don't know if you hear me from Paul, because we had a really bad echo, and some people had made note of that, so we fixed that. We do have a student asking about the presentation. We are recording this, and we will be putting this out for everybody in the near future. In fact, we're going to be creating a YouTube playlist, so everybody can have access to all the webinars that we've been doing. We have a couple more scheduled tomorrow. If you haven't registered yet, we have a fractions one. We have another English one. And next week we have a whole bunch again. And Mr. Paul will be doing Let's Get Physical with Geography in the near future, I believe. So that's
physical geography. Physical geography, folks. Just about physical geography.
Sharon is being funny.
Oh, yeah.
She says the area of India looks like a deer, and you know what? I looked at it, Paul, and I can see it.
That's now that Sharon, man, you are you're pretty close on that. Maybe an ostrich, if we were kind of considering things. I don't know.
Sonia says thank you.
Well, thank you all for attending.
Keisha asked, when was latitude and longitude discovered? So this is sort of sort of cartography, map making job.
Okay. So, the longitude and latitude has been around for a while. When I was looking for information about the prime meridian, there was some information that I found about I believe it was the Greeks were originally, or around the Greek time period, was really kind of the main group who was creating that, along with the Phoenicians back in that similar time period, that were interested in sailing, interested in traveling by sea, and so they needed some good navigational tools, and lines of latitude and longitude were a big part of that. So you could get from the Mediterranean Sea out and into around Africa, around northern and eastern Europe. It's easier to get to those places when you know relative location, where things are and where things are planned to be, or where you expect them to be. That's a great question. Thank you. Okay. Yeah. So just kind of wrapping things up. The big kind of concepts and the big things that we want to talk about, or that I want to talk about, was really getting back into the difference between, or looking at physical and human geography, getting back to looking at latitude and longitude, because I remember being a student and being a little clueless on the latitude and longitude, and it was actually one of my coworkers in my when I first started teaching that helped me or taught me latitude, latitude, and longitude, those concepts to help students.
Jamie does have a question about the Suez Canal.
Okay. The Suez Canal, right here by Egypt, is connecting the Mediterranean Sea up here and the Red Sea. Right? Red Sea? Yes. Thank you. Just wanted to confirm. But that's connecting those areas, and what has been a really powerful and useful trade area, and getting ships between the countries of Europe into Africa and the Middle East. And just wanted to touch base quickly with our two discussions. I don't know if anyone's been able to get on here, but by all means, if you want to come on and to those links, you can post on here, write what you think, and we can get some good discussions going. Any other questions? Well, thank you everyone again for coming. Hope it was well worth it, and look forward to doing it again. Oh, I'm sorry. Goodness.
Aaron is asking about downloading the presentation. So we're gonna be putting it on YouTube. We'll be doing that to doctor it up a little bit, so to speak, and we'll be putting that out soon. And so Jamie's on the Suez Canal. So Jamie is asking, Suez being so close to land, how do ships get from the Suez to the Bahrain, Dubai area?
Okay, how do they get through the canal? If in terms of trying to get through the canal, it may very well have specific types of ships that it only allows. That I do not know, so that's something that we'll have to explore for later. But I know, particularly for the other famous canal over here in the Niagara canals, that they bring in the ships into one area, one part of the canal. They close up the doors of the canal and then can raise or lower the water based on the next level of the canal. So ships are constantly either moving up or moving down as they go through the canal, go through what they call the canal locks, to allow people or allow ships to get from higher down to lower water levels, or the other way around, going from the lower levels up to the higher levels.
So I do have some information about that.
Okay.
Hopefully Jamie can hear me. So the canal itself is 101 miles long, 984 feet wide. So we got 980, about 300 meters, over 300 yards. So it's still pretty wide. They do have a limit, though, that the ships cannot be any taller than 62 feet. And there's a weight limit of 210,000 tons. So there's some limit to what can go on there, but it's still pretty sizable ships.
Okay, thank you, Brian. And you were reading off a computer there. You didn't have that memorized.
Yeah, no, I'm not that good. No,
okay, I just want to check.
I Googled it. I'm sorry to say I did Google it. You give me aha. thing about today, right? We can find answers anywhere.
Absolutely. All right. Any other questions?
Yeah, well, yeah, I guess you could say that, Jamie.
Uh-oh.
Jamie's being humorous now.
Oh, is she?
Yeah, she said if Google doesn't have the answer, we are SOL.
Oh, yeah, we are. Without Google, man, all the great thinkers of the world are in deep, deep trouble. That's for sure.
Isn't this awesome? Where else can you talk to your teachers like this?
Exactly.
Nowhere.
No. Because we can't do anything to you from here. Not a thing. All right. Well, thank you again, everyone. Do we have any?
No,
Okay.
everything's good. We're going to close it up and say good night.
All right. Take care, everyone.